Are you struggling to motivate yourself on tough days? Well, when you slept a little bit less, you don't feel like doing things like going to the gym, or you don't feel like sticking to the diet. Now, this is a very normal thing for every individual to go through, because as we visualize our goals, we always think that the line to us achieving our goals is like perfectly fine line. So that means that you will always be motivated. You'll feel like hitting the gym. You'll feel like you're making that call if I'm talking about business. And it feels like you'll follow like a nice path to progression. But the truth is, when the reality hits, you wake up, like you cannot fall asleep because you're overthinking something. Then you wake up with a lack of sleep, and then you're completely unmotivated to do anything that day for your goals. So the question arises, how do you motivate yourself during those tough days? And there's like a fine line in between discipline and motivation, because like motivation is perfect for having like a short fire and engaging you to do things. And discipline is something that a lot of people are talking about on the internet, and I've recently seen quite a good video from Paul Mort about it. But I think there's a balance in between discipline and motivation, because like motivation will get you to do things, but like I said, in that day that you wake up feeling like shit, not wanting to do things, you will have to recruit the good old discipline to actually get yourself motivated, and that will be your one of your go-tos on how to motivate yourself to work towards your goals that day. Now, I think motivation still plays a massive role even on the days that you don't feel motivated, because you have to motivate yourself by remembering the dreams. So I can only think about me being in this studio and actually filling it up with customers. And look, one of the last things that I want to do when I wake up, I'm never thinking like, oh, how amazing it will be to call those 5 people that dropped in from the Facebook ads. I don't want to do that. I'm not motivated to do that. However, my dream is to fill up the studio. And the only way to achieve that is to actually speak to as many people as I can. So if we're taking physical fitness, for example, if you want to get a six-pack and you feel like shit that day, you still have to go to the gym. You still have to stay on top of your diet and eat that high protein diet, because that's the only way that you will actually achieve that goal. So you have to motivate yourself and think about it, like visualize how my six-pack will look. Because by thinking that way, like you create yourself some more motivation to get off the couch and cook that healthy, high protein meal, go to sleep on time, and get that training session done. So the next day you wake up and you don't even have to go through that shit in your head to motivate yourself to do the thing to achieve your dream. And something that I noticed from my experience, if you push yourself through those low days and still keep visualizing the dream of your life, my studio, I'll use that as an example. If I visualize that studio being full of people, I am then thinking about the steps that I need to take that day, even if they're a little bit smaller than I would do on a high motivation day, but I'm still taking like small steps towards making progress, even though on a low day. So for example, if we take fitness, if you feel absolutely like shit, then your planned gym session may not happen. But the best course of action is to actually do something towards your goals. So it's less about the intensity of the session. It's more about actually doing something towards your goals. So that could be just as simple as going for a walk for half an hour instead of going for 1 hour session in the gym. And same thing applies to your diet. You may not want to eat healthy through that day, but trying to prioritize protein, even though you have a bit of cheesecake or whatever it is through that day, will still mean that you're hitting some of your macronutrients goals towards the dream that you have. And that's why you have to balance in between motivation and discipline on a day-to-day basis to actually achieve your dream. So the concept that I actually worked out in my head, I opened this studio roughly 7 months ago. And in the beginning, it was quite hard to get myself to do some of these uncomfortable tasks like making calls and things like that. I still don't find that comfortable, but by pushing myself through those low days when I haven't made as many appointments or sales as I would like to, reminding myself that I have to continue doing that to actually have the studio full is a line of somewhere in between a discipline of motivation. And the concept that like is moving around in my head now, if you fluctuate between motivation and discipline, like kicking your own ass to do things that you don't want to do, you end up developing like a habit. So you come to the point where making those calls or eating that protein or hitting that gym is no longer a motivation or a discipline issue. It becomes like a default zone. So you become comfortable doing uncomfortable things. So the more times you push yourself when you don't want to, the more used you get to that feeling, and it's easier to overcome those barriers. So, if you push yourself when you don't want to go to the gym and you go through that training session, the next time you do that, it's like, it's not as bad as I thought it is. I may just go again. And then you do that for the third, for the fourth, for the fifth time, and that becomes a norm. So when it becomes a norm, you develop a habit and you don't really need to either rely on motivation or discipline. And that's where eventually we all want to end up at. So you don't have to either look for motivation on those tough days, and you also don't have to use that willpower to recruit your discipline to achieve your goals. And I think this is brilliant because becoming that person which is actually staying consistent and working for their dreams is the best place to be in. And that's neither discipline, neither motivation. It's the identity that you get to follow. And I think that summarizes how to motivate yourself on the tough days. You always have to visualize the dream that you want to achieve, because that's more important than how you're feeling on today. Your dream is more important because that's you now putting in the effort towards the future self, and you always want to think about your future self and you want to do things for your future self. So for example, I go to sleep early today, so tomorrow's Modi is feeling very good. And 1 year from now, Modi is feeling very good about the studio because it's full. Whatever that is, I hope you get the idea. And if you enjoyed watching this video, I'm sure you will enjoy this one. And let me know down in the comments if there's some motivational issues that you are having, and maybe I can help you to overcome them. Because, look, a decade ago, I was working in a warehouse across the street. Now, I own a personal training studio. So there's a lot of motivation hurdles that I had to overcome to get here. And this is not, and I think this is just the start of my journey. So if I can help you to get motivated to achieve better things in your life, I feel like my job will be done. Let me know down in the comments what you're struggling with, and I hopefully can help you to overcome them. See you in the next one.